Shalom WJC family. It's time for our weekly Torah Talk. This week in synagogue we will be reading Parshat Shoftim, and we're kind of now in the middle of the book of Deuteronomy. Moses is giving people the information about the laws and the rules they should follow once they get into the promised land, and this includes the laws of the king. Now, what I really want to talk about today is a mezuzah. And how do we get from the laws of kings to a mezuzah, and why it's so important in the meaning of mezuzah? I'll tell you. I want to speak about mezuzah because the season tends to be moving season. I have a lot of calls these days. People ask me to come and help them hang a mezuzah, or people who are moving and want to know if they should take their mezuzah off or put it on, which I love doing, and I love coming to people's homes and helping them affix their mezuzot, and sort of the symbol of a Jewish home when we see it there on the doorpost. So how do we get there? So in Shoftim we get the laws of the king, and we're told that the king, v'katav lo et Mishnah Torah hazot al sefer, that he should write for himself this a copy of this Torah as a book. And that's the common translation of this. Mishnah Torah means sort of the document of the Torah, or the teachings of the Torah. You might have heard the term Mishnah to refer to the Tannaitic period rabbinic texts, or Mishnah Torah itself is the name of Maimonides' great legal code from the 1200s. Here, Mishnah Torah means this Torah that I'm telling you. So the king is supposed to write himself a copy of it, which makes sense. If you're going to be the king and you need to adjudicate different court cases, know the rules of how to tell your farmers to manage their crops, how to tell your soldiers how to fight wars, etc., etc. So the Midrash comes along, the rabbinic teachings. One interpretation of this is when he says Mishnah Torah, that the word Mishnah here comes from the word Shnei, meaning two Torahs. That the king will write for himself two Torahs. Now, why would he need two sifrei Torah? So a rabbi, Elchanan Saratskin Zal, offered an interesting interpretation. He said that he's got to have one Torah that he takes with him everywhere he goes, and one Torah that he keeps in his treasury under lock and key, always there for him. Why does he need these two Torahs? Says Rabbi Saratskin, that you, when you go out into the world and you're navigating all the issues that come in the world, the Torah needs to be flexible. It needs to bend. It needs to be molded, the rules and the teachings and the values, to the world as we encounter it. And that's, because you walk out into the forest, what do? You encounter trees. However, he says, when the king came home, he had to look in his treasury to find that pure, untainted Torah, to get back to the core of what this was all about before it was affected by all the interactions in the world, and so that he wouldn't forget the forest for all of those trees, as we say in sort of modern English parlance. This whole teaching, which I find to be very beautiful, right? That we're constantly making compromises to navigate the world, but that there's some kind of ideal at the root of Torah, of teaching, of spirit, of peace, of values that is at its core that we don't want to forget. That makes me think of our mezuzah on our doorposts. Why so? Because the mezuzah is supposed to remind us of Torah both ways. Right, so in the mezuzah is a scroll with the words of the Shema and the V'haya im Shemoah on it, the passages that command us to have a mezuzah. And on the outside we see the letter Shin, right? Looks a little like this, with for the name Shaddai, one of the most intimate names of God, part of the name that God uses with Abraham, sort of the most intimate relationship that God has with the human being, El Shaddai. So we have Shaddai on the mezuzah. So what does it tell us? When we go out into the world, the last thing we do is we touch the mezuzah, we bring it to our mouth, such that we navigate the world. We'll be encountering the world, remember that, this Torah and this God is always part of us, not just in the house, not just in the synagogue, but everything we encounter in the world deserves to be treated and encountered with that. But just like the king, when we come back home and we see the mezuzah again, and now we kind of touch it and kiss our hand or bring the teaching to our lips as we walk into the house, that's to remind us that this is also a place of Torah, also a place of God. On the one hand, to the fresh place of solace, of getting to the core of Torah, and also such that we shouldn't, take for granted the people in our lives and somehow, act like we observe Torah in the world, but don't have those values in our home, or only have those values in our home, but then go out and act like a scoundrel in the world. Neither of those works, right? That there's the Torah out in the world and the Torah at home that are different in their essence, in the same way that the king needs two Torahs, because Torah in the world is different from the Torah in his home. But either way, it's all got to come back to Torah and God and the spiritual path that enables both our encounters in the world and our encounters at home to be sacred, to be part of our holy journey. So I hope you'll think about this as you see your mezuzah. You can think about the king with his two Torahs, and we can all remember that it's important to get out into the world and to make things work. And it's also important to come home and to find that core and find that center and find that peace. May we all find that peace and that core and that center this Shabbat and every Shabbat. I wish you Shabbat Shalom.